من أعماق ماضيها وعبق حاضرها ومستقبلها. يتجذر الإبداع في رؤية المملكة العربية السعودية. احتفل معنا بقوة الإبداع في أكبر تجمع لقطاع التسويق الإبداعي على مستوى المملكة، حيث تجتمع الثقافة والإبداع والموهبة والتكنولوجيا. كن مستعداً لتلهم الآخرين وتستلهم الأفكار من متحدثين استثنائيين وبرامج مميزة وجوائز مبتكرة. معاً نسلط الضوء على قدرة الإبداع في تحفيز التحول في الأعمال وبناء الأثر. نحتفي بالماضي ونتحدى الحاضر ونشارك في بناء المستقبل.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Campaign's fifth briefing event of 2023 on the new marketing. I am Nadeem Qureshi, the publisher of Campaign Middle East. Nice to see everyone back after a long summer break. Thank you for attending and supporting us. As usual, before I hand over the mic to Campaign's editor to get on with today's event, I wanted to brief everyone on the upcoming opportunities and the latest developments at Campaign Middle East and with our partners. We've just announced the deadline extension for Campaign Middle East Agency of the Year Awards to 25th September. As you're aware, the Agency of the Year Awards focuses on the agency business success, that is year-on-year growth, financial achievements, agency culture, diversity, and the teams and people driving this forward. Here's a short video on the success we had last year. Amazing. The Agency of the Year Awards would be held in Dubai in December first week. And once again, the final entry deadline is 25th September. So agencies, please get your entries in right away. I would also like to give you more information on Athar. Yes, Saudi's first festival of creativity. You would have got some insights in the video we played earlier. Taking place on November 14th, the Athar Festival will celebrate and recognize creative marketing excellence across the kingdom. With more than 100 renowned international and regional speakers across 4 days, the festival will discuss the impact of creativity on business, nurture young talent, and celebrate Saudi's most creative marketing and advertising campaigns from the last 10 years. For more information, you have flyers on your table with more details. Please feel free to reach out to me or Fardeen. Where are you? There you are. For more details on partnership queries or anything on the details. Coming back to campaign, please make sure you contribute regularly to our upcoming special editions that we have, such as our production house directory this month, our out-of-home suppliers guide in October. And as you're aware, we have also launched this year campaign's jobs section online, where you can post, search for the latest job opportunities, and career advice from industry experts. We would have these details and a lot more on our website, on our social media platforms, and our weekly newsletters. So please don't forget to subscribe and follow us in order to get the latest news and updates on all our future events, our directories, and our print and digital special issues. Now, I would like to thank our partners who supported us for today's event. Let me start by thanking Group M, whose vision is to be responsible for shaping the next era of media, where advertising works better for people. Group M's duty is to deliver better experiences for consumers, better growth for their clients, and better careers for their people. I would like to thank our next partner, Snap Inc., which is a technology company that believes the camera presents the greatest opportunity to enhance relationships between friends, family, and the world. And finally, I would like to thank Fusion 5, an agile, non-traditional media agency focused on the consumer's last mile. You will hear a lot more from them in the upcoming panels as well. Right, our next campaign briefing event will be in Riyadh on October 11th on media and marketing. And it would include topics like gaming, esports, performance marketing, content strategies, customer experience, revolution in retail, e-commerce. Please feel free to reach out to me or Justin with suggestions on key topics that you would like us covered in the kingdom. Then in December, we will host our flagship Marcoms 360 conference. It's now in its 7th successive year, and this event will help marketers and media professionals anticipate and navigate the year ahead, and we will focus on what to expect in 2024. The agenda is always crafted to bring inspiration and clarity on what the next 12 months hold for the industry. So please feel free to reach out to me or Tarun, there he is, on any partnership queries with campaign. One last point, as always, I would like to ask everyone to send us your feedback on the content that you hear today. You can see the event agenda on your tables with a survey QR code. Please scan it and give us your valuable feedback on each session so that we can work with our partners for much stronger and relevant content. Right, that's it from me. I will now hand over the mic to campaigns editor, Justin Harper, who will take the events forward. I hope to see everyone in Riyadh for our next campaign event. Thank you once again for coming and attending.
Thanks, Nadeem, and welcome everybody. I think we started today 5 minutes late, which is pretty good because our last event, our last breakfast briefing was in Saudi, and that started, I think, 45 minutes late. So while Saudi Arabia is building a 1 kilometer tower and we'll have the world's tallest tower, I think we still win on timekeeping and punctuality. So pat ourselves on the back for that. So yeah, the summer, now we're back. Everything's back in full swing. It was a quiet time where we could recharge our batteries and get ready for the busy period ahead of us. For others, the summer was a busy time, especially if you happen to own a football club in Saudi Arabia or were building a very tall tower. Now we're back in Dubai. It's a busy period, as we know. We can see that on the roads, the joys of traffic jams and school runs. So it's great everyone can make it here today. Nadeem talked about the events we've got coming up. On the editorial front, as the editor, we have now grown our team, and there's 4 of us on the editorial team. The magazine is still our baby. As you can see, it's sort of proudly displayed on your tables. But we're also ramping up our online coverage, writing a lot of stories every day. We're always looking for exclusive stories and news that's happening and innovations. And that brings us to the theme of today, which is about new marketing. And how this reflects the world of marketing, which is constantly evolving. It's being powered by new technology and new ideas. Indeed, when it comes to new technologies, there's an awful lot going on, from adtech to AI, performance marketing to measurement. And some of these subjects will be discussed by some of our panelists on our panels today. We've told them all that data is obviously super exciting, but it can be technical at times, so make it entertaining, make it funny. So hopefully no pressure there on the panels to come. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first panel of the morning, which will look at the evolution of data and measurement and is brought to us by Fusion 5. I think before that, we're going to play a short video.
Fusion 5, where creativity meets agility, with insights and performance at the core of our DNA. we proactively deliver real-time responses for results that matter. As a data-driven performance leader, our tech-driven solutions allow us to optimize efficiency, elevate customer lifetime value, and empower better decision-making. Being a member of Tribe Global, our impact and commitment goes beyond metrics. We're dedicated to working towards the last mile and driving growth through elevated engagement. Fusion 5. Think future. Act now.
Okay, and beyond just measurement, the panel will delve into the synergy between creativity and data-driven strategies and touch on the ever-evolving dynamics of agent-client data discussions. So I'd like to welcome on stage our moderator, Natalie Panella, who is the head of digital at Fusion 5 Advertising. Frank Arderel, who's the Chief Marketing and Technology Officer at Knowledge Group Consulting. Ramzi Atat, who is Head of Marketing and PR APAC, MEE and Africa for Lotus Cars. Amin Jaber, who is Head of Marketing at Al Masood Automobiles. And last but not least, Wajahat Osmani, who's Commercial Head, MENA for Tailwind EMA. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today and see so many familiar faces and none. We're talking about data and measurement, and it's an hard topic in the morning, so don't worry about it. No one has been tracking how many coffee or croissant you had in the morning. We're not going to measure that part, but we're rather going to talk about what is now and what is the future, and most importantly, what is the experience of our wonderful panelists today. So I'll let everyone introduce with a short intro for each other, and then we move to the very first question.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Sorry. I'm Frank Alderel. I'm a Chief Marketing Officer for Knowledge Group Consulting. I've been working with this company for 2 years. I came 1 year ago to launch a new startup for them. And except doing that, I'm also a professor at Santa Clara University in California. And I love both sides. So everything you will hear from me is just based on my experience. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Ramzi Atat. I look after, I'm the head of marketing and PR for Lotus Cars, Lotus Group in Asia. So it's APAC, Middle East, and soon we're going to be expanding into Africa. Before that, I had 4 years at Aston Martin in a similar role in the MENA region. And before that, actually on the agency side. So yeah, data has been an integral part of our lives for a long time. Thanks.
Morning, everyone. My name is Amin Jaber. The head of marketing for Al Masood Automobiles in Abu Dhabi and Al Ain in the Western region. So I look after basically Nissan, Infiniti, and Renault, as well as our homegrown brand, which is basically multi-brand used cars and multi-brand service and parts under the brand name of Auto Central. And we are also looking to launch some new electric car brands soon. So we're very excited about that. I'm basically a car guy at heart. I've been in the car industry for more than 20 years, started at agency side at Leo Burnett, and I've worked at 2 different distributors, Al Futtaim Motors on Lexus, and now at Al Masood. So I'm really excited to talk about all things data today. Thank you for being with us.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Wajahat Usmani, and I'm the commercial head at Tailwind. We are an adtech and martech company. We're working with global adtech partners such as Amazon Ad Server, Global Web Index, Sky. We work with both brands and agencies with their tech enablement and consultation. So anything around data or enriching that data, how to use that data is part of the work that we do. In addition to that, through our platforms, we enable better marketing strategies and better user insights and everything else. I've been with them for a little over 5 years now, but in the market for close to 8 years, predominantly come from a tech background, so I've been working with tech companies. So previously with Google, now with Tailwind, representing various different ad tech solutions in the market. And nice for you all to join us today.
Thank you. So I think it's time to understand how the role of data changed over your domain. We got experts in automotive, in education and consulting, adtech. Maybe I'll start with automotive with Ranzi and hear from you guys, Amin and Ranzi, and then we shift with the others.
Sure. I think I'll speak for all of us when I say that in the past, I mean, previous to the data era, the feedback we used to get from a campaign is, oh, this campaign generated a lot of buzz, or the feedback was great. Oh, I think we did well, we resonated. So, but words that are completely unmeasurable, and we pat ourselves on the back and say, job well done, or the other way around. But now with data, I'll give you a real example. So on the 7th of September, as Lotus, we launched our new car, the EMEA. So before launching that car, we actually sat together weeks and weeks, and then in the last few days, and said, what do we need to achieve from this launch? So we need X amount of mentions, sentiment, website visits, sessions, and so on. So we set those KPIs, very quantitative, very numerical. And then post-launch, 2 days after, all of us scrambled to compile the results from our different markets to see and say, did we achieve this or not? Was this a successful launch or not? Based on this very measurable pre and post data. So again, had this been previous to this data era, it would have been, oh yeah, people there were very happy. I think we did the right thing. Job well done. So now, but I mean, that's good and bad. Good because it's measurable and you can learn and you can fix things. I wouldn't say bad. Challenging because you cannot control all the variables, and now any mistake, it gets amplified and everybody will know about it. So we didn't generate this, we didn't hit it, and there's a problem. So it just adds a dimension of difficulty, but it also, I think it's a dimension of measurability that pushes things forward.
And I think this connects to the necessity of real-time data and how we use it. I think Amin has a lot to say about it, how dashboarding and real-time has changed over the last years.
Absolutely. I mean, when I joined Al Futtaim way back, we had no access to any dashboards, actually. We just knew what we were selling on a daily basis. If we wanted to know how many inquiries we generated, we could log in somewhere and basically pull out an Excel sheet. Now we have it firm on our screen, a dashboard that we can look at in real time and basically make decisions quickly to optimize, to change course if we need to, etc. And beyond that, we're also looking at, with our customer experience team, to basically launch a CDXP, which is really next level. I mean, we're talking about a customer data and experience platform that basically pulls all data, different all touch points from across wherever we operate. So be it on our mobile app, be it on our website, be it on at our showrooms, etc. And it really allows you to, personalize, get to know your customer, know better, have one view in terms of retargeting, in terms of so many different values that we could bring to the table, which previously this was not something that we would talk about.
And I think, Frank, here you are an expert in finding a lot of silos towards different data sources and putting that together. How did you also live long time in the US? So how would you see the shift, even coming from there and coming to the region? Like, how is data silos different here versus the US? Where do we stand?
I'm going to be a very simple person. I think, the previous person say, the shift is really on customer data. The big shift I see for the past 5 years is, especially 2021, is third-party cookie disappear, which means all the analysis becomes complicated. So you cannot, you have limitation of data. You have to focus on first-party data. You have to advertise on contextual content, which is a big shift, which means what you have behind and what I've been working on is how do you set up your marketing technology stack to support the evolutions of the consumer, which, by the way, I like it because we are going to a way where we are more respecting customer. We don't spam customers. We want to bring them the right information at the right time, on the right channel, in real times. Today, it's possible. As advertisers or publishers, we have to adapt. And the big shift is, how do you move with this change of data that you collect and make your personalizations, your advertising? And my big learning for the past 5 years is how to nurture, how to leverage all this startup technology. So for instance, if you want to do omnichannel attributions, you need to find the right partners. Lately, I find a partner called Factor AI in India. I work with them. We work on omnichannel. So like this person said, this responsible making decisions is how do you connect all the touch points? And so the challenge, the most important challenge I got is third-party data to first-party data. Because today you have to work on the data that come with user consentment. If you don't have it, you don't have the data. And I respect that. And when I get advertising personally, I'm going to give you a story. I was looking for a car. I talked to a friend. At 8 p.m., I opened my tablet and they proposed exactly the car I wanted to. I don't know how they got it, but they got me. This advertising was right on the spot. This is where I'm going to. I think it's beauty. So don't see it as a challenge today. See it as an opportunity to get better. And if you do that, you spend less and you scale your advertising budget. So I'm just going to stop because I could talk for hours.
But thanks, Frank. I would say, Wajahat, in your experience as an ad tech provider, then what is the role of first-party data? Is it there, or are we still waiting for?
So in terms of data itself, I mean, like as Frank mentioned, we've moved over from third party to first party. So with it brings a lot of challenges. And predominantly those are, I mean, regulatory challenges aside around GDPR, the challenge still very much is that a lot of it is in silos. So you need a way to figure out how you merge that, not only from a measurement piece, but from a activation piece as well. It's one thing to have that first party data, but then to be able to leverage it, not for insights, but also for activations is like where a lot of like say marketing campaigns struggle. But that's where the opportunity as well arises, is because now we are in a situation wherein it's a problem which is as a result of having too much technology. But at the same time, it's technology which can potentially help you solve that and address that as well. To unifying that and having, let's say, one solution which is working across, looking at all your first party data, be it online, offline, and then leveraging it for marketing activations. And it's the prime example, as Frank mentioned, is to be able to discuss and maybe interact with the brand in any channel and then be able to sort of be remarketed. The other challenge, by the way, is also around user consent and building trust around it as well. So it's super critical for companies to also inform people that, you know, this is why your data is being used and this is how it's going to be leveraged. And then it's up to them whether or not they consent to that data sharing.
No, absolutely. And maybe this connects to what Ramzi might explain better in the field of luxury cars, luxury automotive, where yes, you have the one-to-one interaction and is not a mass business, right? So yes, analytics matters, but is not the one that will drive decisions. How do you foster creativity and innovation, and where does Istanda helps you to crack the data dilemma?
I mean, it is a luxury business, and the personal experience and personalized experience is really important. But if you just take a step back and think, marketing, I mean, it's an old saying, but I think it still stands. It is a mix of science and art. So I think the data falls in the area of the science. So you're using data to be able to target, and as the gentleman said, he got the right ad at the right time when he was thinking about it or he was seeing it that day. So let's just give a real life example. So Natalie goes, visits the Ferrari showroom today. We get a data point about that. We know through LinkedIn that he's managerial, so we know he probably has the income to afford our cars. We know his interest from the pages he follows on Facebook and so on. So with that, we can know that Natalie is one of our target audience or a prospect for Lotus. But that covers the science part where we know we should target him. But this data, probably all of the other competitors that sell sports cars, they have similar access to this data. So we're all going to target Natalie with ads. And what do we need to do to stand out? Well, creativity comes in. So if you're going to get 5 ads from Lotus, Porsche, Ferrari, whatever, how do we make sure that our ad resonates and pushes you there? This is what sparks creativity, and we need our ad to stand out. So I think they complement each other. Being data-driven does not mean not being creative. And the other way around. So in the past, again, I go back to the old times, creative means doing a TVC and just putting it out there and shotgun approach. So it's not the case anymore. Now you have to make 3, 4, 5 versions for the 4 or 5 different target, I would say, clusters. You use data for targeting and use creativity to make sure your message resonates and overtakes all of the other competitors. And hopefully we sell you a car.
I will be glad to get once the EV is here, for the electrical. Maybe to Amin, what are the alternative metrics for you now? So let's assume that phasing out of third-party cookies is coming. We don't know exactly what is coming. It's a story we have been hearing for the last 3 years. So maybe we don't still have the crystal bubble and make this prediction. What are the metrics that you're looking at today?
So again, like I mentioned earlier, really important is our first party data, right? And in the automotive industry, we're very lucky because we're privy to a lot of important information and data, such as your Emirates ID when you buy a car, your driver's license, even your financials when you're looking to get a loan. So for us, it's really about how do we get that data, how do we enrich it, and we make sure that we come back and we deliver a better experience over to you, right? And I think that is really, really important for us. I think there will be other, obviously, avenues that we can consider moving forward. Forms of like contextual advertising, where you're really looking at machine learning to identify which website or websites are have some interesting content that's been uploaded, and developing some advertising that captures them there. There could be interest-based advertising as well. And we do forms of that now, again, through persona and precision marketing. So I think these are the things that, we are doing some of, and we can expand on it moving forward. And then the other thing is, we also shouldn't discount traditional media, right? You have the magazine on your table, there's cinema, there's outdoor, there's TV. I mean, these are also mediums that we shouldn't completely discount moving forward. So so that's pretty much it.
And I'll give you one more way. Everybody can type it down, whoever is on his phone now. It's called account-based marketing. You got a fleet, right? So you're from the distributor side, so you also
Tell
need
us more,
companies that will take like a beautiful Nissan and so on. So I leave this one to Frank because he's the top expert in the room today. Where does account-based marketing stand in data and personalization? First of all, let's explain a little bit because I'm not sure if everyone is super familiar, but yeah.
Yeah, when we say account-based marketing, ABM, it's really based on business to business. And if I can explain and how it fit, I like this business model or this approach because you really scale your advertising budget. I've been facing CEO for quite a lot, and personally, marketing is always judged by ROI. It's not how much you spend, it's how much you get in terms of sales. So when you think about account-based marketing, and I have this discussion with my CEO here, the concept is you select 2,000 accounts. and you say, this is my customer I want. And you are going to target them through an IP. And the only part that I'm going to be technical is that. So every company is an IP. And what you want to do is you want to target the company. You don't know who you are going to reach. And the goal is, how do you collect all these contacts? And a contact comes with first-party data. And when you get the first-party data, this is where you can transfer or transform a prospect into a lead. So the beauty of ABM is to work with the technology. There is a gentleman here, he manages Stack Adapt. We have been working with Fusions with them. Stack Adapt is an interesting company because they will take your account, they will match, they say, hey, Frank, about 2,000 accounts, 60% match with our database. And they will be able to push your ad to this account. That is account-based marketing. And I can go on and go on, but the beauty of it is you leverage AI ML to do lead scoring. You leverage AI ML to do contextual advertising. So I know I don't want to talk too much about ABM, but this is what ABM is, and this is what I've been doing for the past 10 years. And this is how I launched a startup in 2017, and I've been very successful. So that is account-based marketing. I don't know if I answer your questions.
Definitely, like 100%. But we need more technologies here, and I will ask Ramzi about is there any emerging technologies that you've seen it applied to your field or anywhere else that might actually fit the purpose of identify a new technology for the forefront of data transparency?
I can tell you what technology I wish we can have. Actually, I think I was speaking to Eli earlier before coming in, and I was telling about the daily struggle where as a marketer, we're always thinking about we need to build the brand. It's a long-term game, and obviously the results will always come in. But when I don't always find the audience for this speech, so when it goes to the more on the retail side or the business side or the sales side, I tend to get, we're spending $1, are we getting 5 or not? If we're not getting 5, it's not good marketing. So, and the problem with that is obviously, I mean, a part of marketing works on short term, so you can do a promotion, you will get a short term return and you can measure it that way. But then you have consideration that works on medium term and you have brand building that works on long term, and they're equally, even more important. So I would say what I would wish for is hopefully with data, with AI, that we get to a point where we can fully measure or even more accurately measure the impact of dollars spent on marketing in terms of sales. So an example is putting an outdoor billboard on Sheikh Zayed Road. Yes, I can know how many eyeballs looked at it, but can I really know or quantify if that led to someone buying a car, even if it's 20% part of the decision making that he did? Right now, it's not there, but I think with the technology, with AI specifically, maybe again wish list that I'm able to quantify better, because it helps our day-to-day jobs, and it helps us invest in the right platforms and locations.
Absolutely, and maybe here is about to connect with Vajat about AI. I know we got a panel about AI, but it's the topic today. We all know about it. How do you think AI can help the measurement tools today?
Yeah, that's
not in the future today, because it's easy to talk about the future, but the reality is how can we do that?
Yeah, that's the hottest topic of the season, isn't it? Like AI and how it's going to help me either be better or will it make me lose my job? So I am on the optimistic side of this viewpoint. So I think definitely it's going to help us do our jobs better and basically make informed decisions. AI with its just like core capabilities is going to be able to look through data in a much grander scale versus any analyst can sit and analyze, right? So, and not just one channel, it can look at multiple channels. You can define what your North Star is. So this is my main metric, irrespective of where I am advertising, running my campaigns, whatever else. What AI will allow you to do is understand those signals and translate it into something that makes sense for us. So if it's a return on investment, if it's lead, whatever it may be, it's going to be able to look through the data and tell you exactly what's driving that to be able to make informed decisions. The other aspect of it, and Ramzi mentioned it, is advertising. It's a mix of art and science. So to plug in the science piece of it, another example of like the Sky offering that we have is that it's able to look through all your creatives and analyze them, score them, and also define what those creatives are. So for example, it can look at the creative and say, okay, these creatives have 2 people in it. This creative has a cat in it, and then labels it. And then you'll be able to understand what sort of element in a creative worked best. That informs your creative decisioning as well as to how you create your messaging, what do you put out there. And finally, on the insights piece as well, I mean, like traditionally, I mean, we've got a lot of planners and like market research people. Traditionally, it's a lot of hard work looking through like various personas, trying to figure out various different aspects of them. But now with, for example, GWI integrating natural language processing, what you can do is just go and ask a question to the platform and say, okay, I'm looking for people in Generation Z. What are they doing most in social media, for example? And it's able to answer you based on data, what that looks like. So something which potentially takes 30 minutes to 1 hour now takes 5 minutes. So effectively making us much more efficient and faster, and hopefully using that time for other strategic pieces and putting the human element back into the back into the game.
Can I add something? Of course. I would like to add something very important on what this gentleman is saying is, in order to achieve this goal, you need a tag management system that is going to bring you the data that AI and ML are going to analyze. I don't want to jump on your forte because this is your skill set, but for the audience, it's very important. So everybody use potentially Google Tag Manager. I will invite you to look at some other tag management system, such as Segment or Tilium. Why? Is because they are working on this new world. And they will be able to get you the data that is on the client side, which means your asset, and server side, which means other website. And it's becoming critical because of this first-party data that is not here there. So you are able to connect the dots. I just wanted to add that because this is an important piece about what you can achieve with AI ML. You need the data. So that's it. Sorry.
Someone needs to know how to use it anyways. Maybe last question to Amin. How can you still deliver personalized experience through an industry that is still adapting in data privacy and transparency?
Look, I mean, first, data privacy is absolutely paramount, and one needs to obviously make sure that they follow it religiously and so on. I think at the core of it, it's earning a customer's trust, right? Through potentially different programs that you introduce to build that trust and confidence in the brand. And the more you build that, the more your customers will sort of bring down their guard and they'll provide that data. Something that really interesting I saw the other day on Tide.com, a P&G brand. You open their website and the first thing you get is a pop-up. And on that pop-up, it asks you if you want a $4 coupon, if you want to answer some questions on your behavior, why you use Tide. And I found it really interesting, and it's very simple, and it's multiple choice, and it understands your behavior, right? So these guys are capturing that data, and then they ask you, hey, if you want this $4 coupon, just provide your email, and by doing so, you consent to provide us your information, and we may retarget you with other P&G brands. But you'll get $4. So it's sort of like almost instant gratification. And I think that's really interesting versus, we're going to put your name in a draw and God knows if you'll ever get that phone. So I think that is very interesting, right? It's upfront. It's a pop-up that comes up and they're trying to get your data, but they're giving you something in return. And I think that really applies to even what Frank was saying earlier, right? You come to my website at Nissan, and I want to understand who you are, and are you married, not, do you have any kids, do you like going outdoor, how old are you, etc. And then I think this SUV will work perfectly for you, or this electric car I think is perfect, whatever it may be, right? And guess what? If you just put your email address, we may give you an extended warranty. You say, okay, maybe. Why not? Give the email address and bang. So I think it's that sort of, we have to adopt that kind of stuff to really bring it to life. And for us, definitely, last point on Al Masoud Automobiles, we have, for example, a confidence program, which when you buy a car from us, we give you 2 weeks. And if you're not satisfied for whatever reason, you can bring back the car, no questions asked, and we'll take it back. That builds confidence, right? The president of the UAE drives a Nissan Patrol, and he proudly has our plate bracket around that says Al Masoud Automobiles. That tells you something about the brand, who we represent, and what we do for people. And I think when people get that, and they see that, wow, 70% of your Nissan customers are actually are Emirati, that tells you something, right? And I buy into that proposition, and I want to do business with you guys because you bring that to the table. And yeah, if I give you a little bit more information or data about me, I know you'll use it to improve my overall experience to you. And I think that is really it in a nutshell.
Thank you. And now one last, one suggestion for the future. What suggestion, Ramzi, would you give to any professional in the world of data? If you need to meet someone that is fresh graduate, gets into marketing, adtech, agency world, give one advice to navigate to data.
I think the more refined the data in you put, the better you can make conclusions out of it and so on. So I've seen a lot of situations where the data is either not clean or not representative, but then people try to jump to make conclusions out of it. And again, I'll go back to giving an example. So if a company, it's a random example, if a company wants to forecast for the future and they go through the last 4 years of data, guess what? There was COVID. So you can imagine how distorted that data will be. So it shouldn't be just like a computer. Put in the data, crunch the numbers, and then whatever it tells you, just go with it. That's why we still need the human touch. So filter the data, make sure it's representative, make sure there's enough sample size. That's also something that happens a lot. You see a small sample size and then you make a conclusion and make a strategic decision that's going to change the course of the company, but the data was not really representative. So I think the bigger part of the focus and time and effort should be put on cleaning the data that goes in. And then there are so many tools that will help you crunch the numbers later on and make the decisions. So I would just say focus on the input.
Okay. Frank? One sentence, huh?
Hola. No, so I will invite you to look at what the big partners are doing. If you look at Google, you cannot use individual data. If you look at Apple, they block ID, so you cannot target anymore. Same thing for Facebook. So what you need to change is understand who is your customer. And based on that, if you can understand the consumer journey, figure out about the technology behind that is going to help you achieve your goal. The most important piece in technology today, I believe, is what we call CDP, Customer Data Platform. If you don't have a CDP, you are not going to embrace the new world. So a lot of companies like Oracle, I work for them as a consulting, they are still working on what we call DMP. It's useless, it's dummy, they are not going anywhere with it. So you have to adapt yourself, leveraging your technology and going through the customer. But if you want an answer and if you want to understand if I'm saying the truth, go to ChatGPT. This is my special tool today. I go always on ChatGPT when I have a question. So I invite you to do the same, and you can check if we told you the truth or not. But I will, yes, so ChatGPT is a good example. I've been implementing Salesforce.com. They came back to me and say, Frank, do you want to do chat with ChatGPT? I say, yes, of course I want to do that. So it's an adaptation. ChatGPT came up a year ago. We are doing the implementations, and it's fantastic. So that's my outcome for the rest of the day.
Wajat, thank you, Frank. Wajat, your advice in one sentence.
So my advice is mostly going to be from a tech perspective. I think learning we're in the golden age of learning. in terms of access to resource and everything else as well. So someone who's starting with data, I would recommend potentially keep that learning process ongoing. Have a mentor, someone like Frank, who's going to help you navigate on what's happening in the industry. And more importantly, I mean, most of the tech companies have some or the other training and certification program. Do those. It's going to help you at least understand the ecosystem better. And then from there on, you can understand if it's something that you want to explore more of or less of. So that's going to help you get your bearings and then move ahead with it. So that's it. That's my 3 advices
Thank you.
for someone starting.
Thank you all. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you, Natali.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Quite literally, actually.
It's the group selfie.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Cool. Thanks. Thanks. Thank you. We're gonna have to charge you for that. Charge you for that broken microphone. Sorry. So thank you. That was a very entertaining panel on data. There were some great sound bites, and I think already we've got a nice article for campaign. Some lovely takeaways. And I think, as Ramsey said, being data-driven does not mean you can't be creative. So now we're going to move on to our second panel, which is brought to you by Snap. And the title of the panel is, Are You Paying Attention? Which is not a question from me to the audience, but actually the title of the next panel. So we have Snap talking about that and how they build deeper connections between consumers and brands and the brands that they buy and love. One way they do this is through augmented reality, AR, which has been one of the biggest breakthroughs and innovations in ad formats in recent years. As a result, an increasing number of big brands are now adding AR to their marketing campaigns. And it's fair to say that the Snap are leading the field in this area. We were a bit hesitant about letting them use AR in the title because it looked like a typo, capital A, capital R, but it looks good for now. So let's get our panel who will talk more about the value of interactive advertising experiences and how AR can provide immersion experiences. So let's call up our moderator, Yumna Borgul, who is the head of measurement at Snap Inc. We have Maxine Minty, who is Senior Manager, Digital Marketing at Al Shire Group. And Mazin Mansour, who is Data and Programmatic Lead at Omnicom Media Group. I just wanted to say, Maxine, whether you'd ever thought about having your own chewing gum brand. Max Minty Gum.
I deliberately didn't change my name when I got married.
It's very cool anyway. So I'll let you guys take over.
Right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm really happy to be here today with Mazen and Maxine discussing augmented reality, attention measurement, and how they interlink together. Augmented reality is one of the breakthrough innovations in ad formats in recent years, and attention has been taking the center stage lately and could potentially be the new digital ad metric. Between those two topics, they're still new. There's a lot of learnings. There's a lot of unanswered questions. We don't even have kind of standardized measurement practices for either AR or attention. The IAB in the US today is putting together a task force for AR measurement, and we're seeing a lot of effort in the attention space to standardize attention measurement between MRC, Attention Council, and different parties in the space. So hot topics, a lot of unanswered questions. What we're hoping today to answer is, some of the insights that we're gathering throughout this learning journey, I guess, and in specific focus on two main questions that we're hoping to shed the light on. One, does attention or can attention help us answer and understand the value of sponsored AR? And two, does it actually matter? Does attention drive outcomes, specifically from an AR context? I'll leave it for Maxine and Mazen to share their insights and experience on these topics, but maybe we could start with a quick round of intros first.
Sure. So hi, I'm Maxine. So I work across the digital marketing ecosystem for Outshire. So for those who don't know, I think we've got 70 plus retail brands. 18 of those are e-commerce, operating across 7+ markets within the MENA region. So we have a huge amount of brands, a huge breadth of brands as well. So we really get to see, how things change from one brand to the next, whether it's lifestyle, well-being, fashion, beauty. So, I've been working in the region for 10+ years, and it really feels like things are really starting to heat up. I mean, AR's been talked about or been something, living, breathing recently across advertising. But if I think about the first time for me in interacting with AR, I think for anyone who's seen the film, I was about 10 years old, and it was Clueless, and she's swiping through her wardrobe, trying stuff on. And, 30 years later, we're only just kind of at that point where that's happening in retail.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Mazen. I'm the data and programmatic lead across Omnicom. So I sit within the central team, and my role is to enhance our programmatic offering across the group. So part of my remit involves working on innovation, whether it's working on digital out of home, connected TV, or attention, which is what we're going to talk about today. I think today's panel comes in a very good time because we're in the process of launching our attention product within the group. So we've done so much work on it, and we're quite excited to talk about this topic. Yeah.
Cool. So Maxine, maybe we'll start with you. We're seeing an increasing number of brands, adopting AR and adding AR to their marketing campaigns and marketing mix. Alshaya has been at the forefront. You've been doing a lot of work with many big brands like West Elm, American Eagle, Bath & Body Works. What attracts you to the format? Why AR?
I think there's a number of reasons, but one of them is about it really enables us to interact directly with the consumer. I'm sure you hear it from lots of different platforms, but it used to be about how do you create thumb-stopping content on the mobile phone. But when you're working with an AR lens, the customer has brought themselves to that lens, and they're choosing and deciding to immerse and spend time with you as a brand rather than just kind of scrolling through and not being able to differentiate you from one brand to the next. I think it also really allows us to bring kind of some local relevance as well into the market and really highlight opportunities with different celebrations, whether that's Ramadan or Saudi National Day. Working in a franchise organization, quite often our campaigns, adverts, etc., may have been generated from the US or Europe or Scandinavia, and sometimes it doesn't resonate as well as something that's much, much more local. So we know with Snap, rather than leading kind of campaign focuses, but really kind of trying to tap into those locally relevant moments, we really see that when it comes to the engagement of the users.
And when you talk about immersiveness and engagement, can you help us put a finger on it, like put it in context? How does that look like from an engagement standpoint? How is that different from other formats?
Whether you're swiping through and you're just scrolling past videos, in terms of attention, like we're seeing users spend 10+ seconds, interacting with lenses, which far surpasses, I think, any other kind of advertising format that you'll have. So the consumer is choosing to spend their time with you, which I think, in a really, really busy world of advertising now, I think any of the platforms you go on, you're bombarded with ads. So to really be able to grab and have that amount of attention from the consumer is quite meaningful for the brand.
Okay, so we heard the word immersion, engagement, attention. I'll move to you, Mazen. I know you're an expert in the attention space in specific. Before talking about attention measurement and AR, maybe we could take a step back and talk about why is attention important, and how do we measure attention in today's world?
Sure. I think given that this is a fairly new topic, not everyone's familiar with it, and attention in general is a very abstract term, right? So let's start by first defining what is attention. So I'll talk about what is attention, how do we measure it, and then we'll talk about why it's really important right now. So To start with the definition, attention metric is basically using any data point that you can measure, which indicates whether an ad has been seen, read, viewed, or otherwise consciously digested by a user. It's important that we distinguish or that we differentiate attention from viewability. Viewability is about whether an ad is visible on the screen. Attention is more about whether you've actually grasped that message from an ad and it's, you're consciously aware of it. And I think when it comes to how we measure it, again, going back to what you mentioned, we haven't really standardized how measurement works. There are some of the top partners like Lumen or Amplified Intelligence or even Double Verify who have now been competing in the space. Some of them are either looking at attention by looking at things like engagement and exposure and using this combination to create an index. Others are looking at panel data and human attention data, which is what we're going to talk about throughout this panel. Why is attention important? It's quite straightforward. If an ad has no attention paid to it, then essentially it's going to drive no media outcome, no business outcome, right? And it's no secret that we now live in attention economy, right? Everyone's trying to compete to grab everyone's attention. And I think the reason why attention started to become a more popular thing right now is because we can measure it. And I think now because we can measure it, it's up to the partners now to prove their value worth. We're talking about the supply side and the tech side. If they want to prove their value worth, attention becomes the new source of truth.
Okay, so now back to AR. How can we validate what Maxine said on, AR experiences more likely to bring attention or the user's attention compared to other formats or channel? How can we validate that through attention measurement? And do you have any insights that would help us put things in context?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think if we want to really kind of dive deep into this from an Omnicom's perspective, I think we've been doing attention studies for about 4 years now, and we found a lot of interesting insights. The way we do the attention studies is we do panel-based data and we do eye tracking. And by doing eye tracking, we essentially measure 3 things. Whether a person is in active attention. Active attention is you're directly looking at the ad. Passive attention, which is you're looking at the screen but not directly at the ad. Or no attention, which is you're turning your face down. You're not even looking at the screen. And we've seen a lot of findings. We've done our first attention study in MENA back in 2022. And the reason why I wanted to do the attention study is to get 2 things. One is to establish attention benchmarks on MENA across different channels and formats. And 2 is to validate all the research we've been doing globally for the last 4 years. And we found that there has been a remarkable consistency in the results we found here in comparison to what we found globally. And the second thing is, there's this idea of attention hierarchy. So when we think about attention, what are the factors that contribute most to attention? And it's important that you take an empirical evidence, you take an evidence-based approach into this, and we don't do any guesswork or we look at what we think, but we look at data. And based on the data, the hierarchy is as follows. The first level in the hierarchy, the most influential factor towards intention is the platform you are on. The platform establishes everything regardless of all other variables. And the surprising part is it's not the creative. Sorry if I disappoint anyone here, but that's what the data shows. And essentially, the reason why this, if you think about it, if you are a scrollable form of media, so you're kind of scrolling along, no matter how good your creative is, no matter how strong your audience targeting is, it's hard to capture someone's attention if the ad has no attention to it. The second thing in the hierarchy was the format and the placement. The third was the context. So where is your ad appearing against? The fourth is demographics, so who you're targeting. And we found that there's more people are like, as humans, we're more alike than we are different. And the last piece is the creative. But the creative is the one thing you can control. And again, we're not saying here creative doesn't play a strong role. We know that creative is king, but it's important that when you're investing in a good creative, you are running in a high attentive environment. Now, how do you link this back to augmented reality? So off of the research we found, as I mentioned, the placement, the format was one of the biggest factors that drove attention, that has the highest level attentions. This is based on eye tracking, by the way. And if you look at, and in specific, we looked at immersive formats, full screen experiences, those had very high level attentions. And augmented reality is a form of format that has high full screen, high immersive. So even though we haven't done any attention studies yet on augmented reality, my intuition is that we're likely to get the same results. One more thing, just to kind of go over another research as well. We've also found that with some research, the viewability time on augmented reality is roughly around 4 times higher than the standard formats that we see. So hopefully that strengthens the proposition. We have a roadmap to measure augmented reality with attention, and hopefully that will help us validate.
Thank you, Mazen. Very interesting insights on the channel format placement and creative. And I guess the creative element is a bit surprising, but when you put it this way in context, it kind of makes sense. So we've established that, AR attention is what driving brands to be interested in the format. You've helped us put things in context, 4 times higher than other formats, other channels. But I guess the question remains, does it matter? Like, does attention drive outcomes? And Maxine, maybe like you've been activating, and I know you've been testing and learning a lot and experimenting in AR campaigns. Could you shed a bit more light on that side of it?
Sure. So at our shower group, we love to do a good measurement study, and we've been doing lots of testing, especially around kind of the impact across the full funnel. I'm sure many of you guys, you might be spending on a brand ad, but how is that actually impacting your sales? Or on the other side, you could be running very lower funnel, but how's that actually supporting your brand? So we've been doing a lot of work to understand that. And what we see with AR is it's definitely having much more of an impact when it comes to upper and mid-funnel objectives. So it's definitely increasing, much stronger, improving our kind of cost per brand lift. We're definitely seeing strong improvements in ad recall as well, even going through to action intent. What we're seeing is, more swipe ups. I think in KSA particularly, it's almost 4 to 5 times more swipe ups than maybe in some other video formats. We're seeing that in terms of incremental page views. So, even if we weren't running that lens, how many views would we have had? Because we've run that lens, how many additional are we getting? So, between about 30 and 40% page views, we're seeing that move all the way down through the funnel to incremental checkouts, lower cost per incremental checkouts as well. So we're seeing that big kind of shift in that consideration area. It's not necessarily directly translating into an immediate sale, but it brings that recall and that engagement with the brand so that, you're doing a lot of the heavy lifting rather than just directly, targeting them with some sort of sale or performance ad.
Okay. Thank you for that. And obviously, it works, but for it to work, there's lots of best practices that I guess you've also been building along your, experimentation journey. How should a brand go about building an AR experience? Any tips, recommendations that you could share?
I mean, I think sometimes you can't predict what's going to work and what's not. You'd be surprised at how viral some really, really basic things go versus something that you could think is, that's super cool, and then you go, well, it didn't really do much. I think there's probably a few things to keep in mind. Is one, making sure your brand is present. So making sure you've got your brand cues there, or, so the user kind of knows who and why they're interacting. I think also making it relevant to your brand as well. I think particularly in this region, maybe, there are some businesses who are maybe a bit guilty of kind of trying to shoehorn themselves into being relevant or thinking they're being relevant. If it doesn't make sense for your brand, then it's not going to be an authentic experience to your user either. So, making sure that, what you're doing is relevant to your brand, it's relevant to the consumer. And I think also, it doesn't have to be that complicated. If you, same as kind of with an app, if you have to tell your user, your consumer how to do it, then it's probably, not that intuitive and probably not something that's gonna get utilized particularly often. So, use things that the consumer's already kind of interacting it. So whether that's facial recognition, whether that's kind of body movements, I think those are some of the really easy ones. And it could be something like a try on. So if it's sunglasses brands, that's a really easy one. Beauty, we're seeing a lot of lipstick and different kind of color shade matching. Even fashion, you're doing kind of immersive clothing experiences. The AR malls for Ramadan, I think we've seen particular success with as well, which is really letting your users interact with your product catalog. it could be as basic as a, the head like this or that. It's sale rather than a bright red sale ad. Maybe you're running your catalog through going, what would you be buying? Yes, no, so all of these things get them to spend time with the brand in a very kind of simplistic way.
Cool. And I know there's a lot more coming, from a learning agenda standpoint. So hopefully we'll be able to share even more learnings next time. I guess I want to wrap up with you away from AR and back to attention, making sure that we're staying on time, not to disappoint Justin, who talked about time in the beginning. Like all this talk about attention and whether it's important, whether it's driving outcomes, obviously there's something that's working. We're seeing a huge adoption from the industry when it comes to attention. But if we think about the future, how are we thinking about kind of linking that to media buying decisions and media planning decisions at scale, not from a format standpoint, or how does the future look like, I guess?
Sure. So if we go back to the attention study that I talked about, the data that we've been able to gather over the last 4 years over that data that allowed us to do two things. One, take all these attention levels that's broken down by channel, by format, by placement, etc., and link this back to an attention planning tool. So for the first time, what we are able to do now is planners can have two versions of a plan. They can have a version that's the standard, which is your reach curve version, and then you have your attention optimized version, which focuses on your attention reach curves. So that allows us now to start, at scale, optimizing towards attention by planning, but it's also about the activation part. So what we've been able to do is, work with some of the top partners to be able to measure attention in real time across real-time campaigns. The way this works, without going into too much technicality, is essentially you place a pixel on the creative. That pixel then is able to extract information in real time. It monitors the ad environment. It looks at things like format, channels, all these different variables. And then we take this data and we then map it back to our human attention data set. And that allows us to apply machine learning to create a robust predictive model based on accurate attention. Now, the fact that we can now measure attention, how do we try to link it back to effectiveness? Once you have this attention metric that's applied, and it's important to note that this is a solution right now that's not available across all the channels. It's available on the open web. It's available on programmatic. But what we would like to do is we want the social partners to start working with these different attention partners, start sharing your impression data to allow us to measure attention across all the platforms. Once we can do that, essentially we can optimize towards attention. And when we optimize towards attention, we can then tie this back to effectiveness. And to go back to what you mentioned, if we're talking about, I know we went out from augmented reality, but just to kind of tie it back to augmented reality, you talked about augmented reality being more on the upper funnel. So, if I were to optimize towards attention, I am able to increase attention. I can tie this back to a simple thing like a brand lift study. Has my optimized campaign attention driven better brand lift study? And that's essentially how we can, tie it back to effectiveness.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. We hope you were paying attention, and we hope you found some valuable insights from this panel. We'll leave it for questions. I guess we have a few more minutes if anyone has any questions. Okay, we actually have one at the back.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
My name's Ani, and I'm from the Tech Advantage. We do a lot of AI-powered contextual advertising. We do a lot of engagement-based advertising, performance, ROI-based advertising. And with that shameless plug out of the way, my question is, obviously, Maxine, working in a retail environment, Mazen, you're the custodian for a lot of retail brands under the OMG umbrella. How do you solve the challenge of creating aspiration for your brands, for your products online, and then attributing footfall to physical locations?
I can start with that one. So we've actually done a huge amount of work with Snap this year. So I'll do a shameless plug. Hopefully you all know we have an amazing loyalty program called Aura. So working with that, we're able to see our kind of offline transactions within stores. So we're not actually tracking footfall, let's say, but through O2O measurement, we're able to actually see not just what's happening online, but then, you know, from someone who's interacted with any of the ads, like what impact that's having on our store. So we're able to see, and, you know, it definitely varies from brand to brand, but you know, we see that actually, although, you know, let's say from an e-commerce or a performance perspective, what we spend might be tied back to, you know, they were talking about ROIs earlier, you know, having a 5 ROI for every dollar you're spending. But actually we see that when you start measuring offline as well, that can go up, you know, 4x, which is phenomenal. So utilizing, you know, customer data in-store transactions, we're able to link not just what's behaviors are happening online, but what's happening in store as well.
Yeah, I might just add, I mean, conversion API or CAPI is one way, touching on previous conversations on how to connect the data today, how we're connecting the data between advertisers and platforms. Maybe in this case, it's one-on-one, it's not connected across all platforms, but it's still a way to understand that offline impact, I guess, until you have a more overall view.
Fantastic. Thanks.
I'll add one thing just to kind of spice it up a bit, combine it with attention, because obviously this is quite outside of attention. But then, you know, my wish list is at some point, once we have standardized the way attention measurement works, we get to a point that it's part of, you know, every campaign that runs, then, you know, maybe at some point we can then start attributing high attention levels to, you know, online to offline, you know, working with different mobile location partners to attribute not just an engagement, but also a higher attention level towards an exposed group versus a control group, and actually measure whether that's driven in, you know, genuine footfall traffic to the site, because some of it might be accidental. There can be some misattribution sometimes. You might serve an ad, you serve an impression, someone didn't pay attention, but they still went to the shop. So it's around, you know, having as much data points as possible to help us revalidate whether, you know, we're actually driving genuine traffic to the store through online.
Thank you.
He's really passionate about attention. You can see that. That's why I was happy when he joined our panel. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for our second panel. That was very, very insightful. And for Yumna for her great punctuality and her great punctuation. So moving from AR to AI, as an industry, we're both excited and slightly worried by AI. If Elon Musk is calling for regulation of AI, then maybe we should be a bit more worried. So it's great to have our final panel of the day discuss AI's role in reshaping advertising. This panel is brought to you by Group M, and the experts today will cover a wide range of issues, from how AI has fundamentally changed the digital advertising landscape to actionable tips to help you get prepared. So I'd like to welcome on stage, firstly, our moderator, Hisham Aoujar, who's the Chief Products and Services Officer of Group M. Hussein Hamid, who is Head of Performance at Al Futtaim Retail. Fahim Ahmed, who is Head of Growth at Shaloub Group. And last but not least, Mansour Salameh, who is Retail and E-commerce Industry Partner at Meta. Thanks. Okay, I'll take it away.
Morning, everyone.
Hi, Sean.
I know everyone is thinking this is going to be another ChatGPT conversation. Hopefully it will not. What we want to discuss today is really how is AI impacting advertising as a whole, specifically digital advertising, i.e. how has it impacted how we plan digital advertising, how we activate, and more importantly, how we optimize digital advertising. Before we start, I'll let everyone introduce themselves, starting with Hussein.
Thanks, Isham. So I'm Hasnan. I'm part of Al Futtaim Group at the moment. Before that, I'm in the region for last 5-7 years, and I have an experience in performance marketing, and I've been with agencies like all 3 performance marketing agencies. And interestingly, just a couple years back, I was part of Group M as well. So it's a pleasure to be here, and nice meeting you all.
Morning, everyone. My name is Fahim. I lead growth for Shalouk Group. I think most of you would already know what the group is. So we are more than 300 brands, a group of more than 300 brands from fashion to beauty, selling across 20 different e-com sites and across 700 or 800 retail stores in the region. My background is also performance marketing, mainly in e-com. And I'm also very passionate about AI, and it's glad to be here and pleasure to meet you all.
Hi everyone, Mansoor Salemi. I work with partners, retail and e-commerce, to help them on board on our solutions at Meta. Meta, as you know, we have rebranded a few years ago from Facebook Inc. to Meta. We own apps such as the Blue app, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. I've been with the company for 11 years, looking after retail and e-commerce. Prior to that, I've been more on the content side, working around 10 years in the creative agencies. Looking forward to be talking about AI and what we have launched recently.
Thank you very much, guys. First question is a broad question. In your opinion, how has AI impacted digital advertising as a whole? And maybe for you, Mansoor, how are you guys integrating AI in your digital advertising products?
Sure. So I believe the key word here, what AI brings to the table from a media and advertising perspective, is efficiency, right? So the premise of media and advertising has been since the beginning to deliver the right message to the right people at the right time. Earlier on, it was by a hard trial and error. You expect people to listen to a radio spot or see an outdoor banner who happen to be the right people. As we moved on into digital, that accelerated further with the introduction of cookies, later pixels, and now with AI, it put it a bit on steroids. So it's moving much faster, creating much better relevancy and efficiency for the people who are leveraging this media. And from a user perspective, it's enabling better experiences in a shorter period of time. So instead of you going and searching for certain content that you feel that you are interested in, the tool will bring that content to you. And there is lots of, again, this is overall what we see from an advertising perspective. Testament to that, we have seen this working as well from a Meta side. So at the moment, if we look at the content that you see on our feed, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, 20% of it is actually driven by AI. And what we have seen during the last year, this has impacted, again, we see, whenever we see a better customer experience, we see better conversions on our client side. So what we have seen is 20% improved conversions on our partners that are the outcome of these improvements. Another point is better entertainment, right? So recently we have launched Reels. Reels heavily relies on AI on predicting what would you like. And as an outcome of it as well, in the last earning call, based on the numbers, it showed that Reels have added incremental of 25% time spent on our platform overall across Meta globally. It works on other parts as well, on messaging. Again, AI will determine which ad to be delivered to who are most likely to engage with a business or an entity or a service via conversational commerce or messaging, whether it's on WhatsApp or messaging. And again, we have seen a spike in advertising revenue focused on that, growing 80% year on year. Besides that, it also works on improving viewers' experience by protecting them from harmful content, fake news. Around 82% of the harmful content on our platform have been removed automatically by AI. So this is overall, in a nutshell, my point of view, and both from the industry and from Meta.
Thank you, Mansoor. Maybe Fahim.
I'll try not to go too deep. Just to scratch the surface, I think we are still in the very early days of using AI, especially in advertising. But I see a few areas where it's being used already. Number one is productivity. So we all know, and a lot of teams are already using Copy.ai, Jasper to create their content, whether it's short form or blog content. And then you can't just use that content straight away from those platforms and put it into the site or your ad. Obviously, you need a lot of human involvement there. So don't copy paste, please. Secondly, creative. So you've seen Adobe adopting to Fireflies. So a lot of designers, creative people are already using Fireflies to quickly generate, remove backgrounds, add a lot of scenery to the creative, and then create those creatives at mass. So producing 2 to 5 versus 50 creatives in a very short time. So one is productivity. Second, I feel media planning. Isham, I'm sure you know and you're familiar how traders work in the company, and they do a lot of media planning and media buying when there's a request coming in from the client. So 10 traders working on 50 different media plans in a day could be scaled up to 500 media plans in 2 days. If you feed the right data to some of the new media planning AI powered tools, you can do media planning very, very efficiently. And the third is data analytics. So because advertising is very connected to what you put out there and how people see your ad and how they react to it. So from data point of view, I think implementation of MMM, for example. I know we spoke about MMM before in one of the previous events. It's like measuring analytics in a very advanced way. So media mix modeling basically sits on top of your multi-touch attribution. So right now, I think it's super hard to implement MMM, but I think with AI, a lot of algorithms just gonna improve that process faster, and we will be able to measure more.
Thank you. Maybe Hussein.
Thanks, Isham. So for us, like what I feel that it is more about how these intelligence elements and the human hands are going hand to hand and trying to generate some better results. For me, the biggest evolvement was that how return on investments have improved with minimal efforts. Not the minimal effort, I would say, but less time, it's more efficient. Going back to the time while I started my career, it was more about, okay, if it's just the good ad copies that you create manually, relevant landing pages, just creating simple banner, keeping the less text on the banner. But now things have changed a lot. So if you just look at the latest, the PMAX and ASC campaigns, even every week you see something new coming in the market. Some new edits are there. So there's something interesting that you can do, something more that you can try on and improve the results. And the best thing that has happened, and that if you upload the thousands of elements, thousands of ads on Meta and Google, I'm just amazed at how it shows the right ad to the right person. So I think this is the basic, that where things start. But what I feel, how I'm really impressed about that, if I do any account or any campaigns, the first thing is the setting, that how you actually set up your tracking. These enhanced conversions, CAP implementations, with all these cookie issues coming into place, and how these small tracking options have helped us to improve the numbers. And the best, and the other thing, okay, then it comes to the market, and the last thing is the measurement, that how these amazing measurement models, like Afim has already mentioned, Triple M model is there. But on the other hand, like how you see into things that it is first click attribution, last click attribution. We as a group, normally every 3-6 months, we have to go into market, we have to come up with a new brand. So it's not that every time you can look into the last click model. It's just sometimes you have to look into first click and see, okay, where this journey is keeping up, where people are actually starting and converting into sales, where is the right audience that we have to reach to.
Thank you, thank you. The next question is really around AI-based advertising products. It's great that we have Mansour with us. Unfortunately, Luca from Google was supposed to join, but he wasn't able to make it. My question is very simple. We hear a lot about these new advertising products, Advantage Plus for Meta, Performance Max for Google. The question is, how do you think it's going to impact the way we buy media, and what are the benefits to advertisers in general? Maybe we start with Mansour.
Sure. So maybe as a background context to that, maybe I can talk a bit how does it work, and then I'll talk more about the benefits. So again, our investments recently have been focused on improving advertisers' value, and the way to do it is to enable better conversions at lower costs. So the way we did it, we invested on 3 key pillars. The first one is to improve the infrastructure. And an infrastructure to be able to compute very complex computations and in parallel. What does this mean? It means that our system will be able to understand much faster which ads work and which ads don't work. And what happens is once we do that, relevancy is established. When there is relevancy, there is conversions happening at scale. The second pillar is modeling, right? So at the end of the day, all platforms have details about users, but these details are not complete. So you need a model that will help you fill in the gaps for the missing data. And the way it works, it's based on input, output, input, run the campaign, run the test, check the measurement. Does it work? Yes. Then the model infers details about similar customers that can convert at a certain rate. Again, this is a very simple explanation, but it can go very much deeper. And the third is building tools and solutions that can deliver on this promise, which is delivering the right product at the right time, very fast and very efficient and with accuracy. And this is where we launched the Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, I believe August last year. It was more of a beta. And immediately we have seen from the beta testing an improved performance. It's very simple to implement, by the way. It cuts down manpower by almost 80%, where you just need to put in the creatives and let the campaign optimize and deliver the results. And the magic begins, right? So what we have seen globally across more than 30 tests across the world is that it started to deliver 31% better conversions versus business as usual campaigns. In the region here in MENA, by the way, it's one of the top markets when it comes to this product adoption. And again, it's a consequence of seeing the results coming out of it. We're working with Shalhoub Group and with other partners, Al Futtaim, leading partners as well on the e-commerce side. Few numbers to mention. I believe we have a case study with your neighbors, Level Shoes, where they have seen 90% improvement in performance versus business as usual in Saudi and 71% improvement in performance. Again, numbers don't lie. Again, with the Landmark Group, Home Center, we did a similar test. They have seen 40% lift in conversions. So this is in a nutshell what we are seeing from Meta. So I think in summary, better performance, and also for the agencies and the client side, it decreases the time needed in order to set up and optimize the campaigns.
Thank you, Mansour. Maybe for you, Fahim and Hasnain, how do you think it's impacting the way you plan your campaigns, you target your audiences, and also maybe the way you build creatives for performance media?
Yeah, and if you allow me to talk a little bit about PMax, since...
Yes, if you do it in under 3 minutes.
Sure. So people who are in media, I think they probably already know what PMax is, but people who don't, just to step back, similar to what Mansour mentioned on Advantage Plus for Meta or Facebook, PMax from Google is a similar product or similar campaign type where you throw in a lot of copy, a lot of creatives, and your product feed. And then Google will do its magic through PMax to show your ads across shopping feeds to display to YouTube and all the placements possible. And it's the successor of shopping campaigns. So just to elaborate a little bit more on PMax, I think it's very similar to Advantage Plus. It can really give you all the full funnel performance, not just pair on shopping or lower funnel, but also on upper funnel and YouTube. We have done a lot of testing on PMax, obviously through a lot of brands at Shadoob, and it's far different than what shopping used to do, or shopping campaigns used to do. I think with PMax now, what brands are doing is it's not just one shopping campaign, right? If you're a big brand with 5,000 SKUs, you probably need 50 different PMax campaigns. So there's a lot of testing, there's a lot of scripting, there's a lot of new automations coming into place into PMax. So it's all about how you test. Going back to your question, how we're using, your question was how we're using AI to...
New advertising products, PMax or Advantage Plus.
I think because the topic is AI, so I'll just stay a little bit more focused on AI. I think we are using a few tools to enhance how we do meta. So our meta ads are powered by some of the new performance AI driven tools where we are testing a lot of audiences at scale. So if you run meta ads, creating 5 different ad sets is the norm right now, but creating 50 or 100 different audiences is very difficult. It's opposite to what you do in Advantage Plus, but it's also something that's AI powered. So we are testing a lot of different audiences at scale, even to a point where we are testing more than 100 audiences in one campaign through AI driven powered tools, and those are all audiences are being created real time via AI based upon some of the personas that we have in mind, and it's being done through one, campaign objective. Secondly, it's also looking at what creatives are being used in the campaign, and that's how all the audiences are being created. And then going back to productivity, if we are using copy.ai or Jasper or to create content on the go, I think we are much more efficient in terms of how we do advertising, because now we can use a lot more creative, a lot more copy, and now we also leverage a lot of local content, which is you don't need like an Arabic person to translate all your stuff, because you can just do that with an AI tool. Obviously, again, it needs to be vetted by an Arabic speaker, but it's a lot more efficient the way we are doing things.
Thank you. Maybe Hasnain, if you want to add something before I move on to the next question.
Okay, so won't take much time on here, but sorry. Just to add to his point, like definitely ASC and PMax are here for such a small time. It's already, I think, just 1 year, and we're already seeing some good results, ROS improving, returns improving. There's a lot that those campaigns are improving from their side as well. There's better capabilities of creating better creatives inside those campaigns automatically. But one thing that I'm enjoying the most, that these campaigns, when they started, they were just a closed box. Now they are giving the user a bit of flexibility to do the amendments. Like you can now apply scripts on the PMax campaign, and you can see that, okay, these are the best performing products, or these are the best performing campaigns, or these are the best performing placements. It's not only the shopping that I assume that will be getting the most of the cost and the less returns, but in fact it is either YouTube or discovery campaigns that are actually contributing most to my returns. So I think it's a very good thing. Now we can also see the product sets in the PMax campaigns, where you can do the product performance analysis, product group analysis, asset group analysis. You can pause certain asset groups. Okay, if certain asset group is not working, should I give more banners to that asset group and create an automated videos? So same as the we go with ASC. It started with just simple banner, just one simple feed, but now it has evolved. It gives you option to select different collection themes and everything. And now definitely with in my best part, how these two big giants are integrating with each other. I have just realized and came to know through one of the article, and I applied and tested. It worked very well. That how people are actually looking the ads and clicking, and in the next 24 hours they're going to Google and doing the search. So, and you, on the Meta, you're seeing those numbers, that these are the people that who have searched viewed your ad in last 24 hours and has went back to Google and searched it there. So this is what I was much excited in last couple of days. This is something that will help us a lot in coming days.
Thank you, thank you. Maybe for the audience, I guess the question is, how can they prepare for the next era of advertising, in the sense of, do you have any actionable tips for them to make the most out of these new formats?
Sure. So again, the topic is AI can be very broad, right? Maybe I can discuss the broad layer, and then I can discuss shed a bit of light on the meta side. So in general, I believe the objective needs to be very clear, right? Because the objective will kind of lay down the ground to the strategy and the execution. For example, a bank wants to leverage AI. Why do they want to leverage AI? Do they want to, for example, release the stress of it a bit on the customer service? Then it's a simple job of creating a bot that can be created by a third party or internally, or it could be something bigger, like what Faces is doing, in order to be able to replicate what the media channels are doing. Second, AI without data doesn't work. So data strategy is really needed in order to make sure that you're getting data in the first place, you're getting correct data, it's properly mined, and then you start building the models in order to create the solution that you want to create. I believe a third point could be somewhere around the people, right? Whether you're working with external partners or internally, you need to hire the right capabilities. The people who will think about the solutions that will help you get to the right objectives and have a know-how with the suppliers and who's there in the market that can enable you execute flawlessly whatever you want to execute. And I think the last point is how to create synergies internally within the organization between the AI team, the tech, the product, finance, and the business organizations in order for them to work seamlessly together. That's, I think, from a generic point of view. From Meta, I believe what you can do at the moment, there are two things. One of them is very simple, as I mentioned, Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. In order to be ready for it, you just need a business manager, ad account, and then you need to implement the marketing tech, which is the simple conversion API, pixels, SDKs, and catalog, and you will be good to go. On the customer service support and one-to-one personalized communication via our messaging solution, WhatsApp and messaging, you can either develop it internally, which takes a bit of time. What we are seeing the industry is doing is they're working with third-party partners that are approved from our side to create their experiences, whether for customer service support or whether for tactical marketing campaigns. Maybe, for instance, during Black Friday, you want to create a unique shopping experience with a bit of assistance and support that comes directly from a bot that is doable. So this is when it comes to Meta.
Thank you. Maybe fine.
I think it really depends upon the use case and which business you are in. If you're in e-com, obviously you can do a lot with AI. You can test a lot on the site. So one of the things, as Mansoor mentioned, could be a chatbot. Something could be around personalization. So you can also use some of the personalization tools to show the right product to the right customer when they are browsing the site. One of very quick examples, as you said, level shoes. So we'll talk about shoes. So let's say you are size 41, you like black color. You come to shoe site, you select a black shoe, size 41, and then you go to a PDP, a product page, then you hit home, and then you see all size 41 black products, right? So from all the different brands that are available on that specific site. So this is one use case, right? Secondly, from productivity point of view, there's a lot that can be done. So internal processes can be improved. So your meetings could be recorded by an AI assistant. There are a lot of tools available, which will probably eliminate a lot of manpower from note-taking point of view to just, AI tool can record a lot of important things that were mentioned in the meeting. Then some of the other things could be around data and analytics. Again, going back to the same discussion. I think it's very important to know how to do prompting. If you use ChatGPT, you already know the importance of prompting. If you use the right prompt, you get the right output, and then you need to know how to use that output to leverage either in your website or social media or making a certain decision. I think in the coming years, a lot of these mainstream tools, whether it's GA, good luck, by the way, if you're using GA4. So a lot of these tools will have prompting inside enabled or embedded, where you would be able to do a lot of stuff quickly by prompting a specific question or a specific insight that you're looking at. And then lastly, around knowledge, I think AI just can give you a very big knowledge pool from all the large language models that you can utilize. But if you're a big company, I think you should also think about building one for yourself, training your model on all the data that you have available internally. Shaloub Group is a good example because it goes back to 1940 and 1945, where we started, where the company was started. So there's like a very big amount of data that's sitting that could be used to train these models, and that how we can use that data to be used across the group when you're having 10,000 people. Because I think it's very common to say in a company, I didn't know that this existed, or I didn't know we were capable of this. But with AI, I think you can do a lot.
Thank you, Fahim. Hasnain.
Thanks, Hisham. So, long story short, I would say that though it's a very good feature, and we need to think about how we can combine business objectives with the campaign objectives. If definitely campaign is going towards high returns, might be it's not generating the high margin for the business, and for the business these campaigns might be, or those products in a one feed, some products could be high margin, some could be low margin. So we need to take a step ahead. Even though campaigns are very good at learning at the moment, they just need some signals. So we need to step up, do some analysis, some predictive analysis, somehow try to join hands between the business goals and the campaigns, and get the best out of it, which is good for definitely campaigns as well, and for the business as well.
Thank you. We're a bit over time, so I'm going to ask you about the future of AI in advertising. However, if you could make one prediction, that would be great. And then we'll open the floor for questions.
Sure. So I think there are so many things, right? And you can go all the way towards inside the rabbit hole and start thinking about it. But again, with respect to my domain, I believe there is a gap where an improvements need to be made on the content side. Media is easy, right? So the system will optimize if you see based on a certain metric. If you achieve that number, it means it's working. Let's optimize and find models that work in a similar way. But content is a bit different. So you have the first level will be, is it grammatically correct, right? That's very easy, and AI at the moment can do it. The next level is it culturally relevant, whether it's the translation, whether it is the context itself of the sentence and all of that. And the last level, when it comes specifically to brand and our businesses, is are we communicate the brand identity, right? So I believe right now, whether it's ChatGPT or whatever it is, it's doing a good job in delivering on the basics. But I think an implementation of a checker that will happen maybe eventually in the future, that will enable those generative AI system to create culturally relevant and brand relevant content is something that is highly needed. And this is, I believe, one prediction.
Thank you, Mansoor. Fahim.
I think it's going to disrupt every industry possible. It's just like very, very beginning of what's going to happen. And I think we should be slightly scared, and we should put right measures in place to make sure that it doesn't go out of hand. I feel every industry that we are touching at the moment is somehow already using AI. But capabilities of building AI is limited, right? Because again, you need a lot of data and you need a lot of training when it comes to models, right? But I think everyone should just jump on the trend and try to understand how they can use AI for their use case. I think it's up there with mobile phones, 5G, in terms of hype. So we should have more discussions like this.
Thank you, Fahim. Husnain, to conclude your prediction.
Thanks, Isham. So I feel sorry, the time has changed. It's not like in the past we did the certification and we survived for 2-3 years. Now things have changed, things have evolved. Every day a new thing is coming in and you have to be on top of it. And it will keep coming. So I would say I still feel there's a huge room of improvement in the creative things. How ASC and PMAX have automated the creatives and trying to build some good creatives. If we just compare it to 1 year back, it was honestly horrible. We had some issues with the management of the brands, like who is putting those videos on YouTube? We have not created it. Man, it's automated. We can't do anything. But yes, I think that, and it has improved a lot now. There are a lot of themes that can be applied automatically. It is improving very well. And I still feel that it has still have the room to improve. And the final thing, the measurement. Measurement can be more and more accurate. 5 years back, we thought that we have got the exact right measurement. We still think the same, even though a lot of attributions have changed, a lot of measurements have changed. And I think after the 5 years, we're thinking the same. Now we have got the right attribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm looking for Justin to see if we can take questions. You're here? Can we? I don't know if anyone has questions for the audience. We're good. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you to our final panel and to all our panels, all our moderators and you, the audience, for coming along today. It's great to kick things off again. I think as Nadeem mentioned, we're getting this show on the road and we'll be in Riyadh next month. If anyone wants to join us there, more than welcome. And then we're back here in Dubai in November for our next one, which will be on out of home OOH. And in the spirit of data collection and data analytics, we've got a survey on your tables. If you wanted to fill those in, that would be great. We'd get that data and help with our next event. So thank you very much for coming, and we'll see you at the next one.